Hi guys, I'm Sarah. I'm an artist and I teach cartoon club for kids. So if any of you out there like to doodle, I'm going to show you a really easy way to draw a dragon that we did in cartoon club just the other week. All you need with you is you need a pencil. You're going to need a paper or sketchbook, obviously. And then I outline my cartoon in a black marker. And then you'll need a rubber just to erase off your lines. So if you like to draw cartoons and you want a really simple exercise to try, this is for you. All right, once you've got everything you need with you, we can get going. So, like I said, this was a dragon that I did in my cartoon club online class. Now, here he is. He was a little sleeping dragon. Dragons are really popular and for good reason. So I'm going to show you how to draw this little guy. We're not going to color him today, but we will draw him. So let's get going. He's actually a lot easier than you think. Now, first things first, grab your pencil. And I always start by sketching in the basic shapes of my cartoon. So in this case, I'm going to start with my dragon's head. And so I'm starting over about a third of the way over my page, and I'm going to sketch in what is basically a D shape. This is going to turn into my dragon's head. Now, make sure you're sketching really lightly in pencil, and don't worry if there are a bunch of lines and if it looks a little bit messy at this stage. That's absolutely fine. We're just getting a feel for where our dragon is going to sit on our page and how he's going to look. So that's going to be his head, like I said, a little D shape. I'm going to do very similar for his body because he's lying down, but I'm going to make this a little bit of a bigger D shape. You see, he's lying down, so his back is kind of curved up higher than his head. So here, I extend out the line of his head, and then I curve up another D kind of shape, or half circle, whatever you like to call it. And that's going to be his back, all right? Now, he doesn't look like much of a dragon yet, but let's attach his body to his head. So I'm drawing in, that's his neck. I draw in a little curvy line to attach his neck to his body. And we also need our dragon's tail. So I'm going to take his body and I'm going to extend it out. Now, I'm going to draw my tail. I'll do it a little bit like I did in my first drawing, but you could draw it however you like. So I take his tail and I extend out a line, a little curve, and I'm going to thicken this up, all right? And this is going to be his tail. You may want to draw it, you could draw your tail curving up, you could draw it straight out, you could do whatever you'd like, but I'm going to do it just like that. So there's his back, curve around, that's his tail, and then I take what is the underside of his body and I just curve that around, and that becomes the underside of my tail. All right, he's looking a little bit more like a dragon. This is good. Now let's get in our one other fairly big feature, and that's his wings. Okay, I'm putting his wings directly above the top of his back, and I'm sketching in a V shape. Remember, everything's really light right now. Sketching in a V shape, and so it looks like he's got a big V sitting on top of his back. And then I'm going to do another line down. So 2 diagonal lines down. There's that one. That starts to make that wing. Looks like an upside down W. So and that one makes that wing. Now I'm going to do a line attaching these wings into the center point. And I could do it straight. I could do, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a scallop type of line. So it looks like his wings have different segments to them. So it will feel more like they can fold up. So there we go. And maybe I could even extend down a little line like this to the points there. See? So now they're starting to look like wings. All right. Now let's go back to our dragon's head. So most important things to be getting in our dragon's head. Now he's sleeping, right? So I want to get in his eyes and I want to get in his mouth. Now for his eyes, I'm going to give him like eye sockets. So he almost looks a little bit like, you know, like a crocodile. Like he's got eye sockets that's pop up out of his head, just like that. So a little small half circles. See, we're all still just drawing shapes. Now, I'm going to draw in his eyes, but he's asleep, see, so I'm just doing a little V shape like this, 2 little V shapes. Now it looks like his eyes are closed and squinted a little bit. Okay, I like that. Now, next I want to get in my dragon's mouth, and I'm going to draw it. I'm leaving some space at the bottom here. I'm going to draw it about 2/3 of the way down along this shape of his head. And I'm doing it as a little curve, but you could do yours, you know, whatever shape you think might be fun for his mouth. But I'm going to leave it just like that. He says little small smile, maybe he's having a good dream or something. Now, I'm going to add nostrils because he's going to be blowing a little bit of a smoke out here, I think. So 2 little circles, and those will be my dragon's nostrils. Perfect. What's next? He needs legs, okay? So I'm going to show a back leg, and I'm going to show his 2 little front legs. And what he's going to be doing is as if he's resting his chin on his front legs. So here goes. This is how we're going to do this. This is a little bit similar. Again, we're drawing shapes. So from where his head ends, I sketch in a little curve, okay? A little curve. And I flare that out there, and that's going to be his little bottom hand, see? What I've done is I've given him a little claw here. You could draw big nails, but I'm just giving a little jagged line, and then that looks like it's his claw. Now I want the other hand, his other arm, coming around and resting on top here. So what I do is I draw another curve, you see, like this, and around his chin. Just like that, just under his chin. So it looks like, see, he's resting his hands on his head on his little hands. And there we go. I've done the same thing here. I've done a little jaggedy line, so it looks like it's his little claws. But you might want to make those bigger. I don't know. But that's how I've done them. Now, I'm going to show his back leg, but I'm just showing out the one back leg because the other one's hidden around the other side. That's what I'm pretending. So for his back leg, still shapes, I sketch in a little curve. So it's as if I'm starting to draw a circle, but then I stop. And I do a very similar thing that I did here. I sketch out and give him some little jaggedy toes. Now it looks like that's his little, see, that's his little back leg. It's like he's got it tucked in for his nap. Now I'm going to have a look and think what else I might need on my dragon. What about some horns? I think my dragon could use some horns. I could do one big horn at his nose. That might look quite good. I did it differently last time, but I could do 2 big horns behind his eyes. Why don't I do that? I'm going to do that. So I'm sketching in 2 horns. These are just shapes of my horns. Here we go. Perfect. Now, other things. I'm going to give my dragon, I'm going to give him some spikes down his back. Okay, so just little triangles down his back. And I might make them a little bit smaller as I go along and go down his tail. Ooh, I could put a spike on the end of his tail. How about that? I'm going to put a triangle at the very end of his tail. So it looks like he's got a big spike. And that's it. Now I'm ready to outline my dragon. Ooh, one thing I've forgotten. I was going to do some smoke coming out of his, a few little puffs of smoke coming out of his nostrils as he has his little sleep. So how about that? put some Z's. He's having a nap, so there are his Z's, and I put them in a little bubble. Now, to draw, once you pick up your marker, the first thing I start with is my most important thing, which is my character's head. So first thing is first, eyes. And look, just very simple. Those are simple little V shapes. So it looks like he's got his eyes closed. Now I'm going to come around and do his mouth. As I do his mouth, see, I haven't put any teeth on him, but I will now. I'm going to do just the top of his head here. And I'm going to, oh, don't forget his nostrils, don't forget the nostrils. Add a little circle into the center of the nostril. I'm going to put in some teeth, okay? So look, little triangles, just alternating up and down. Great, now I'm going to come under his chin and do his little legs, okay? So here's his little legs. I'm going to get those in. And underneath, perfect. Now I'm going to go down his back. So I'm going to do his back, the full length of his back. And I don't worry too much if, about exactly where my spikes are, or any of those little details, because they can change a bit as I go along. I'm going to go underneath his body here, so I get his back leg and his belly in, his little toes, and then around the rest of his tail. Now I'm going to come and do the horns. So what sits on top, right, of his back? So his horns and the spikes. So these little triangles. And this is why I sketched light to begin with, because when I go and I do my ink, then I can decide, if I like where everything is placed. I can always vary things a little bit as I go along. So as I go down his back, I'm going to make my spikes smaller and a little bit further apart. You might do yours differently. You might make them growing bigger, or you may make them a rounder type of a spike. It all depends on what style you like. Now, wings. I've forgotten his wings, so let's outline those. And I start with the outside of the wing. Then I'm going to do the scallop part underneath. There you go. And now I can add in, see, I'm going to add a little extra line, see, along the front, to sort of frame his wing. This will give a little bit more emphasis to the nice shape of his wing that we've drawn here. And these little diagonal lines along there. Now, I need to do his little cloud of smoke and his Z's. And then I'm going to have a look back and decide if I need any more details in my picture. Now what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to rub off my pencil lines. And once I've done that, then I will make my decisions as to whether or not I think I need any more details in my character. Once I see it with just the black marker. Now you may just be outlining darker in pencil, which is absolutely fine as well, in which case you won't be rubbing off the light pencil lines. You'll just be leaving them, which also works. Now I think I can add a few more little details to this guy. He looks a little bit plain now that I've taken off my pencil lines. I'm thinking some stripes maybe on his horn. Stripes on his horns. And again, I don't need to make them equally distant, so I could vary that. I think that looks good. I could give him some scales maybe, or what about this? I did this in my other drawing where I gave him a little belly, an underside to his belly, and then I could give that stripes, or I could give him spots. Maybe this dragon I'm going to draw some spots on him instead. I'm going to give some spots to his back. I think my other one I did scales, but I think spots could look quite good. And again, I sort of vary the sizes of my spots. Makes my picture a little bit more interesting, but it's entirely up to you how you like to do things. It's all about, being creative. And sometimes I'll make, a certain area have more spots, so it's a bit more dense, right? Because that can be quite interesting, especially when you go to color this. Maybe just like a couple of spots up his neck, maybe that's all, and maybe just a few little spots just starting down his tail. Does he need more? Oh, maybe. Use your own eye and your own taste to judge what you think will look good. Do I need another spot or two? Oh, just a couple more spots down his tail. How's that? Now I think go. It's easy to get carried away drawing spots. Now I think he has enough. Perfect. I think we're done. I hope everyone enjoyed that little taste of Cartoon Club. If you'd like to join me in a class, you can visit my website, sarahjanevickery.com, and click Cartoon Club. And I hope to see you in a Cartoon Club class soon. Until next time, happy doodling, everyone.